A very good evening and welcome to the national broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Tilina Udayaratna. We begin with a look at the headlines for tonight. The President receives a warm welcome in India. A complete Indian media coverage received. Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that as a result of the tax concessions, a significant rise in the stock market was noted today. Economic analysts point out that as a result of the tax concessions, the prices of consumer goods will see a decrease. The former OIC of Narahimpita makes a startling revelation. The General Secretary of the UNP accepts that certain statements voiced by certain MPs insulting Buddhism was a reason for the party's defeat. The US and China in bitter dispute over Hong Kong protests. On your top local story this evening, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who left for India on a two-day state visit, arrived in New Delhi this evening. This is his first official overseas tour since assuming the presidency. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa left for India on an official visit upon an invitation extended by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. At the Indira Gandhi International Airport, the President and his delegation were welcomed by the Indian State Minister of Transport and Roadways, Dr. V.K. Singh. The Sri Lankan High Commissioner to India, Austin Fernando, and the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, were also present. The welcome ceremony included a number of colourful cultural items. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will meet with Indian President Ramnath Kovind and Indian Premier Narendra Modi for bilateral discussions. Thereafter, President Rajapaksa will engage in a discussion with Indian dignitaries. The delegation accompanying the President includes Presidential Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ravinatha Aryasinghe, Treasury Secretary S. Artigala, Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga, and the President's Private Secretary Sugishwara Bandara.
Indian Raj Sabha and Member of Parliament Dr. Subramaniam Sami says President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's official state visit of India will strengthen bilateral relations in a number of fields. He expressed these views speaking to the national television over the telephone.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the Honorable President of Sri Lanka, is already known to us because he has been here as Defence Secretary several times. We have coordinated with him on the meeting of the terrorist threats and so on. We are looking forward to a frank discussion and come to an understanding of how India can be of help to Sri Lanka and what we expect of Sri Lanka. And I think this visit is going to be very successful because it has come after Indian establishment has recognized that our past policies towards Sri Lanka have been unproductive and, in fact, pushing Sri Lanka into a corner in terms of dealing with international relations. I think on national security and fighting terrorism, we are one. That's one thing that I think will be an achievement of this short visit. The second is a conviction on both sides that we will not do anything to each other which is against the interests of the other countries. That is, Sri Lanka will ensure that Indian interests are accommodated in their dealings, and India will ensure that Sri Lankan interests are accommodated in our dealings with other countries. And that statement has already been made before coming by Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the Honorable President of Sri Lanka. And so it's already a good start has been made. And of course, culturally, in terms of tourism, in terms of investments, Sri Lanka is a great place to be. It's a democracy and it's beautifully situated in the Indian Ocean area.
Before undertaking the official visit to India, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in a tweet on his Twitter account had stated that he intends to further bilateral relations with the Indian government and with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. All Indian media have been reportedly highly focused on the first overseas official visit of Sri Lanka's newly elected president. Reports on the state visit were published on the websites of the prestigious Indian newspapers such as The Hindu, The Times of India, India Today, while Indian TV channels have NDTV and Doordarshan and the entire Indian radio network reported on the Sri Lanka's president's official visit. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu politician Y. Gopal Swami, alias Waiko, was arrested by the New Delhi police for holding a protest against the president's official tour of India.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that as a result of the tax concessions granted by the present government, a significant rise in the stock market was observed today. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, the minister said that this improvement is significant for future economic growth. Minister Bandula Gunawardena says hereafter the pay-as-you-earn tax will not be levied on employees of the state and on the private sector. According to the previous system, when an employee earns more than 125,000 rupees a month, the pay-as-you-earn tax amount is deducted from the salary. There are opinions that tax needs to be paid if the income earned exceeds 250,000 rupees. The minister explained that this is a not pay-as-you-earn tax, but is the regular income tax. He further stated concessions in charging income tax have also been granted. There was a withholding tax imposed on fixed deposits and savings accounts, and the previous government was accused of imposing taxes on the interest paid for children's savings accounts. All savings have been exempted from taxes as there is a large group of pensioners who live on the interest of their savings. He specifically noted that senior citizens will not come under any tax burden. Minister Bandula Gunawardena also observed that the share market, which recorded a continuous downward trend, began picking up since yesterday. The reason for this being the repealing of the capital revenue tax that was imposed on shares exchanged in the stock market.
Economic analysts say direct benefit will experience across a number of fields as a result of the tax concessions that were granted. They point out the consumers and the industrialists will benefit the most. The main objective of introducing tax concession is to bring down the prices of the consumer goods. Meanwhile, the tax levied on bank interest have also been reduced. Tax concessions have also been introduced across a number of fields with the intention of building up a production-based economy.
15% to 8% and also abolishing the NBT by 2%. Actually, there will be some positive impact. In particular, the prices of the goods and services will be definitely come down. The other major positive change I can identify is reduction of the withholding tax from the interest income. Now, interest income is a fixed income. At the moment, the interest income is liable to pay 5% withholding tax. Now, in the future, if the interest income exceeds 250,000 rupees a month, then only that interest income will be liable for withholding tax. So there's a great relief for the people who earn monthly interest income up to 250,000. And also another fixed income earners of the country is the people who are employed and getting salaries and wages. Now in the future, there's no payee tax on 250,000 rupees. On the other positive side, the economic service charge will be completely abolished. So that is also a very good positive step taken by the government to improve the cash flow of the business. At the moment, the construction industry is liable to pay 28% income tax, and that has been reduced to 14%. So this is another positive step taken by the government to improve the construction industry. And I hope that this will go into the subcontractors as well.
The tax concessions are also intended to empower small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. The construction sector is also set to benefit.
25 districts, there are more than 2 million micro, small and medium sector. Some of them are frightened even to, micro level industries are frightened to even register, thinking the Indian, they have to pay, tax department will come behind them to take taxes. So this particular concession given, especially for the construction industry for 28 to 14%, pay tax had been reduced. Now all private and public sector, over 250,000 rupees, all is taxable. Today, even the poorest man only pays the tax. Even though he doesn't pay direct taxes, indirect taxes he pays. Every item he buys, that is taxable. So I think this is a good thing. There are more than 500,000 micro industries registered, they are manufacturing. They are not registered with the department, or they are not registered with any provincial council. The fear is that they will be taxed. I think we should encourage them, bring them back into the fold, give them concession to manufacture item locally. If they manufacture with all the taxes, they are not competitive, because goods are coming from other part of the world and at a concession rate. This is a good time for us to, I think the government has made an excellent start by giving concession to them. It is our people, we have to give them.
Spokesperson of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Sharaj Obesekar, says that today all shares recorded a first-time high since 2018, up by 82.25 index points.
The all-share price index increased by 82.25 points during trading today to close at 6,201.12, marking the highest value of the index since June 2018. The S&P SL20 index increased by 47.99 points to close at 3,069.23 points at the end of trading today. In terms of trading volume, today's daily turnover was recorded as rupees 2.78 billion.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that a full investigation will be carried out into the incident of the alleged threatening of an employee at the Swiss embassy. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said, "It is disappointing to see that this has happened, and even until 2 p.m. today they had not given a statement and had not lodged a police entry. They requested for the CCTV footage in the area to be viewed and a report be submitted." He added that he met with the ambassador and his assistant and informed the IGP and the DIG of the Criminal Investigation Department and instructed them to inquire into the incident speedily. Although a statement or an entry has not been lodged, he instructed them to carry forward the investigation. The Premier noted just before the state visit to India, the Tamil name boards of 3 roads had been removed. They are inquiring into whether the 2 incidents are connected. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs states that the police and the CID have launched an investigation into the incident in which a female staff member of the Embassy of Switzerland in Sri Lanka was allegedly abducted and threatened. The ministry states that the Swiss Embassy in Colombo is cooperating fully into the investigation. It is reported that the Sri Lankan staff member serving at the Swiss embassy had been temporarily abducted and threatened yesterday. She had been reportedly intimidated to reveal information pertaining to the embassy and was released by her kidnappers after approximately 2 hours. Switzerland's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has focused its attention into the incident. It is also reported that the Sri Lankan ambassador to Switzerland had been summoned to the Swiss Ministry of Foreign Affairs at Bern to inquire into the incident. Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, issuing a statement, says a full investigation has been initiated into the alleged abduction and intimidation. The incident was also taken up for discussion at the cabinet meeting yesterday.
The United National Party held a media briefing in Colombo today. General Secretary of the UNP parliamentarian Akhila Viraj Karyavasam expressed his views to the media. General Secretary of the UNP parliamentarian Akhila Viraj Karyavasam said statements voiced by certain MPs resulted in UNP's defeat as they made references in their comments to Buddhism.
A discussion between the leaders of the parties representing the United National Front was held at the UNP party headquarters in Sirikota this morning. The discussion took place under the patronage of leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe. At the discussion, attention was focused on the future work plan of the United National Front, whilst focus was also on the opposition leader's post. Subsequent to the discussion, the leaders of the United National Front and some of the UNP parliamentarians expressed their views to the media. Parliamentarian Professor Ashu Marasinghe said he did not place his signature amongst the 57 signatures spoken about. Professor Marasinghe further stated the party leader intends to step down, and this is as per the statement voiced by the party leader himself. Professor Marasinghe detailed that when a party leader is to step down, a suitable individual needs to be moulded. A 6-member committee has... And meanwhile, Parliamentarian Digambaram said in his personal opinion he believes that the opposition leader should be occupied by a suitable individual. Parliamentarian Manu Ganeshan said he expects a solution within the next 48 hours. He further stated that both the former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and former Minister Sajid Premadasa will both continue to be with the party. Parliamentarian Rauf Hakim said it is not necessary to divulge the proposal now itself. However, a proposal had been put forward in which no one will be defeated and everyone will have a sense of victory. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the Parliament today issued a release pertaining to the opposition leader's post. The office of the Speaker has also forwarded to the General Secretary of the United National Party a copy of the letter bearing the signatures of 57 UNF parliamentarians with regard to the opposition leader's post. The Speaker calls on the UNP to consider the request stated in the said letter and to notify him of the official stance of the United National Party, as the party is the largest political party represented in the opposition. The release further states, once the final consensus amongst the parliamentarians representing the opposition is officially communicated to the Speaker, in keeping with parliamentary traditions, the parliamentarian who will be recognized as the opposition leader will be officially announced at the next parliamentary meeting.
Minister Dallas Alahaperuba expressed the process of providing school uniforms today. He expressed his views joining in a ceremony held at Mahinda Rajapaksa College today. The Mahinda Rajapaksa College in Homagama was established in 2011 under the Mahinda Chintanaya Manifesto. Minister Bandula Gunawardena was a chief contributor in the endeavour. The college organised this ceremony as a tribute to the services rendered by Minister Bandula Gunawardena. Minister Dallas Alahaperuma says he believes issuing a voucher for the purchase of school uniform material is more practical. However, he notes the voucher should have been received before tomorrow. He apologized to the students as his ministry was not able to issue the vouchers in time. He further stated at yesterday's cabinet meeting, it was decided to provide the vouchers at least by the week commenced on the 2nd of January next year. A 6-member committee had been appointed to the recommendation skilled the qualifications individual to be appointed to the state institutions. This committee have been appointed by the Presidential Secretariat upon the instructions of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The committee is headed by Sumit Abesinghe, who is a senior administrative official. The members are Susantha Ratnayaka, Diane Gomez, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, Dr. Prasanna Gunasena and Professor Jagat Vallavatta. The Presidential Secretariat notifies professionals who intend to apply for such posts to forward their expression of interest to the committee before the 18th of December. The committee will forward its recommendations when appointing skilled and qualified individuals for state corporations, statutory boards and state-owned commercial entities.
Several state ministers assumed duties at their respective ministries today. State Minister of Housing and Construction Indika Anuruddha assumed duties at his ministry at the Setsiripaya today. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and a number of guests were present. State Minister of International Relations Susil Premajant assumed duties amidst religious rites today. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and a number of invitees were present. The State Minister expressed his views to the media upon assuming duties. State Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Mahindananda Alutgamage also assumed duties after engaging in religious observances today. Former Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy Suren Batagoda and a number of guests were present. State Minister of Railways C.B. Ratnaik assumed duties at the Ministry of Transport this morning. State Minister of Economic and Policy Development W.D.J. Seneviratne assumed duties amidst religious observances at his ministry today. State Minister of Small and Medium Scale Entrepreneurship Development Susantha Punchi Nilame assumed duties at his ministry located at the World Trade Center. State Minister of Public Administration and Home Affairs Mahinda Samarasinghe assumed duties at his ministry after attending religious rites today. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva and a group of invitees were present. State Minister of Internal Trade and Consumer Welfare Anura Priyadarshana Yapa also assumed duties after religious observances at his ministry today. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa and a number of guests were present. State Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Sanat Nishant assumed duties at his ministry today. A number of parliamentarians and officials including Minister Douglas Devananda were present. State Minister of Mahaveli Development Roshan Ranasinghe also assumed duties today amidst of religious rites today. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa was present at the occasion with a group of invitees. State Minister of Indigenous Medicinal Services Priyankara Jayaratne assumed duties at the Ministry of Health today. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi was present with a number of guests. State Minister Vijitha Veragoda assumed duties at the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs at the Sitsiripaya today. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi was also present with a number of guests. State Minister of Transport Services Management Dilum Amunugama assumed duties at his ministry amidst the chanting of Setpirit by the Mahasangha.
3 individuals, including the former second commander of the Eastern Intelligence Force, Lieutenant Colonel Prabodha Sirivardhana, were acquitted of the charges in the case pertaining to the alleged abduction and the murder of journalist Prageet Eknaligoda. This decision was given when the case was taken up for hearing before the Homagama Magistrates Court. The order was given upon taking into consideration a request put forward by the CID. Charges were filed against 12 individuals implicated in the incident. In court today, the CID requested for the former second in command of the Eastern Intelligence Force, Lieutenant Colonel Prabodha Sirivardhana, and the 10th and the 12th respondents in the case to be acquitted. The case will continue to be heard against the remaining 9 respondents before a 3-judge bench of the court. Here are a few updates on a number of court cases. Mavanala Magistrate Uppul Rajakaruna today ordered the 14 suspects who were remanded in connection with vandalizing Buddha statues in Mavanala area to be remanded until the 12th of next month. The case filed against Basil Rajapaksa on charges of misuse of state funds during the 2015 presidential election was taken up before the Colombo High Court Judge Gihan Kulatunga today. The court granted permission to be request put forward to allow Basil Rajapaksa to travel overseas. The Colombo High Court today served the death sentence on a defendant found guilty of murder during an argument that took place along the Ratmalana Station Road in 2003. Subsequent to the lengthy hearing, the High Court judge pronounced the verdict stating that charges levelled against the defendant have been proved beyond reasonable doubt.
Well, that's a wrap on tonight's national news broadcast. Join us once again tomorrow. Until then, good night.
Good night.